I get asked a lot of questions on TikTok and Instagram, so I put together a list of the most common ones, and I'm just going to answer them kind of ad hoc, raw, truth, honesty, and see where it goes. If you could gamble again with zero consequences, would you? This is a tough one because I want to say yes, but I also know how much destruction gambling has caused in my life in general, and I'm not sure that I would even enjoy it anymore. I think part of why I liked gambling, especially sports betting, is because of competitive nature. And, I used to say, like, oh, I'm going to bankrupt the sports book this weekend, which obviously I wasn't, but it just meant that I was going to go big on something. And I also don't really enjoy watching sports anymore because of gambling. So I'm not sure that I would even really enjoy it. Do you still feel the urge to escape into gambling when life gets heavy? Not really. Uh, Not at all, frankly. Like, I don't really have any urges anymore. And I think, the urges popped up for me when nobody else knew about it. It was still like this secret. And so that was kind of my escape. And now that everybody in my life knows about it, I don't have to deal with those urges anymore, and, like, yeah, sure, it'd be nice to be able to hang out with my buddies when everybody's gambling on whatever football game we're watching or whatever, but I just don't really care to. I mean, I barely even pay attention to the game, and I've talked about this story before, but this was just before I had hit a year, from my last bet, which was April 16th, 2024. I was watching a March Madness game with a buddy, and I asked who he bet on, and I think it was a UConn game. I don't know, irrelevant, but it was a blowout. And towards the end of the game, it got a little bit closer where the spread was kind of in jeopardy. And I felt myself kind of getting excited. I felt my heart rate go up. And it was just a very good eye opening experience to reaffirm that I can't gamble and I can't bet on sports. If I'm getting this excited about a game that I don't care about, I have no action on it. I didn't go to the schools. I didn't fill out a bracket. I just was hoping my buddy won his bet. Pretty good sign that I shouldn't gamble anymore. And by the way, drop a comment if you have more questions about gambling, gambling addiction, problem gambling, mental health, whatever the case may be. I'll make sure to answer all of them. If gambling never destroyed your life, do you think you'd still be doing it? Probably. Um, I don't wanna go back to it even if there was no consequences, but if I had never stopped and I had always had it in check, yeah, I'd probably still be doing it. I think about it like I still drink. Um, that's not a problem for me, never has been, so I would kind of equate it to that where, yeah, I'd probably still be gambling if it didn't destroy my life. I mean, it wasn't destructive, or I should say if it wasn't destructive, then why not? I probably would have had a different approach. Like most people who gamble, they probably just do it for fun. It's just pure entertainment. Maybe they make a couple extra bucks on the weekend and it covers their beers or, dinner or whatever, but I legit thought that I was going to become this professional gambler. So, yeah, I think if it was always in check, then I don't see a problem with it. I'm not a person that says nobody should ever gamble or that it should be completely outlawed. Do you think you ever truly enjoyed gambling, or was it always addiction pretending to be fun? Yeah, I think when I first started out, I really liked it. I think I liked the camaraderie and being able to talk with my buddies about it. I liked seeing Twitter and who was on what game, and I just kind of enjoyed the culture of it. Um, but once it got to a certain point where it was certainly out of control, then I didn't really enjoy it that much in the sense that, yes, I got that dopamine rush when I placed a bet and kind of numbed out, and that felt good. But I did it almost because I feel like I had to do it. So at a certain point, the addiction part tricked my brain into thinking that it was still fun and not so much that I needed this to kind of get through the day, which is weird to say out loud. But I've talked about this before in other videos. I didn't really care if I won or lost at the end. Like, certainly, yes, I wanted to win, but it wasn't about me versus the sports book or the casino anymore. It was about me convincing myself that I could actually control my gambling. And so when you're trying to figure out how to control it, it's not fun anymore. It's like a tedious task. It's like sitting on an Excel spreadsheet at work all day and you're just trying to figure out how to get through it and manage and get done with your day, and you never quite figure it out. What's the part of gambling you miss the most? Not the rush, but the actual feeling. I don't really know that I miss much of gambling. I think it's not so much the feeling of gambling where, again, like I'd numb out from it. If I had a stressful day, then I could play some bets and I'd feel better. I don't miss that. I do miss talking to my buddies about it and kind of being ingrained in the gambling culture because it felt like I belonged to something. And I miss that I don't watch sports anymore for the most part. Like it was my life for so long. And I miss that I kind of outside of the teams that I grew up watching or childhood teams and whatnot, like I still pay attention, but I don't care as much. Like if the Packers lose, it's not ruining my day. And if I can't watch the game because I live in Chicago and we're blacked out, I would always stream the game on my phone. Like if I can't watch it, I can't watch it. I don't really care. I'm not going to go to a bar just to watch the game. Or I'm a big Bucks fan too, and they're not on national TV all the time. I would stream every Bucks game. And in fact, the only reason why I used to stream every Bucks game is because DraftKings for a promotion gave me the NBA League Pass, and I don't have that. So I'm not gonna pay to watch the game. I just miss being able to kind of be a fan. What was the darkest lie you ever told because of gambling? Um, I don't know if I could say a darkest lie. I think that it's more of I just created this massive web of lies, and there was so much lying involved that it actually drove me a little nutty in the sense that I had to keep all of these lies straight. And that creates this internal pressure, internal anxiety, however you want to put it, where if I don't keep the stories the same, I'll get found out. And I think it's more about the people that I lied to than the actual lies that were told. Family, wife, friends, all so that nobody would ask me too many questions. Like the most common lie was telling people like always I'm up or down $50. And I knew if I changed up the amounts and sometimes I was up and sometimes I was down, but the amounts were never very big, that would stop people from asking questions. But I think the biggest part is definitely about who I lied to for how long. What version of yourself scares you the most? That's a good question. I think the version that while I was gambling definitely scared myself the most because I'm not going to say I was completely suicidal or anything like that, but um, I remember plenty of times wondering if the exposed vents on the ceiling in my apartment would hold my weight. And because I was so uneducated on mental health, I just chalked that up to stress at work. And I didn't know what suicidal ideation was. I thought it was the exact same thing as, having a stressful day and just kind of like blurting out, oh my God, will somebody just like shoot me, please? Right. You're just kind of venting. Um, and that was pretty scary, to put it lightly. But at the same time, where I'm at today is also kind of scary. Like it's scary that I'm putting myself out there to some extent. It's scary that I'm trying to rebuild a life at 34 and that I don't know what's going to happen in my future, but I have this blind faith that things are going to just work out fine and I'm going to live my best life. But it's scary because I've put so much energy and effort into recovery and putting my story out there, and I'm just unsure on what's gonna happen with it. It's sort of like I'm doing it for the love of the game and trying to help people um, but it's yeah, it's scary. What memory do you have that still haunts you, the thing gambling almost pushed you into? I kind of alluded to this in my last answer, but wondering if a vent can hold your weight is pretty scary. I don't think about that stuff anymore. I don't, frankly, I don't even really talk about it, but I did a podcast fairly recently where I talked about, wanting to have somebody blow a red light and T-bone me at an intersection because I thought that, I wouldn't be strong enough to like unalive myself. And that way nobody would know what I was dealing with and what I was going through because I was just internalizing it. So that would be kind of like the easy way out. And it kind of came down to this idea of, you know, I didn't want to die, but I didn't have the will to live. Um, but ultimately I think it was just that I didn't want to keep living how I was, like the constant stress and anxiety and all of that. But that's the memory that, again, it doesn't haunt me. I think it was just it's very scary that it was ever at that point. Do you ever miss having something obsessive to pour your energy into? No, because I pour my energy into this. I pour my energy into being a dad. Um, and I love that. Like again, it's scary sharing my story and all of that and putting myself out there, but um if it helps one person, great, then it's worth it. If you could sit across from the version of you who was at your absolute worst, what would you say to him? Probably two things. Number one, your secrets keep you sick, which is a term I picked up from the treatment that I did. And don't suffer in silence. They're kind of the same thing, right? If you're holding on to this big secret and you know it's wrong and you know you're doing bad things, then it's just going to keep weighing you down. And you have to talk to somebody. And it can't be a half truth. Like I remember sharing with someone in my family that like I felt like I was struggling, but I didn't really go into detail. And that felt like I shared my biggest secret, which I didn't. But in a way, it was like, see, like I'm struggling, figure it out almost. Like I just told you all of this stuff, but in reality, I didn't say anything. I kind of gave a half truth, downplayed it. So I think, yeah, again, your secrets will keep you sick and don't suffer in silence. It's a lonely, lonely, lonely world in gambling. If you're struggling, it's very difficult to handle. You're kind of fighting a two-front battle, right? You're fighting the problem gambling itself, and you're fighting also the social aspect of it. I mean, it's pretty much unavoidable. You drive to work, you're going to see gambling billboards. You watch TV, even if it's not a sports show, you'll see gambling ads. Your group chat that doesn't know you have a gambling problem is probably talking about gambling. You listen to a podcast like Two Bears, One Cave or Bad Friends or Theo Vaughn or whatever, just to get some laughs in. And they have gambling ads. And I'm not knocking that. It's just very hard to avoid. So If there's anything that I'd leave you with, it's just talk to somebody, be honest with them, be honest with yourself.